Mara's building is stubbornly old, the kind that remembers a lot of names and refuses to repeat them. The stairwell smells like boiled potatoes and wet wool. The hallway lights do not turn on for the timid. They flare for commitment only. You walk with purpose. They glow. You pause. They go CC-lick, dark. She stands at her door with its peeling brass for B, thumb hovering over the key. Hovering. Hover. The corridor sighs, and the bulb snuffs out. Fine, she whispers, shivering in the hushed black. She can hear her upstairs neighbor drumming 2 fingers on the floor. Tap tap, like the heartbeat of a small animal. Her phone's flashlight makes a feeble cone. Dust swims inside it like plankton. The door unlocks with a reluctant clack. Inside, the quiet, the plant that never thrives, the coat hook that looks like a beckoning hand. Mara flicks the switch. The lamps blink on one by one, like eyes waking from a nightmare. Tick. She doesn't own a wall clock. Tick. She doesn't own any clock. Tick. It's coming from her bathroom. Hello, she says, because she's the kind of person who says please and thank you to empty rooms. She finds the sound and almost laughs. Someone has slipped a small travel alarm onto the shelf above the sink. Plastic, cheap, the sort with glow-in-the-dark hands and no brand. It's set to 11:57. The second hand stutters and stops, unable to decide. Under it, a post-it note curls like a yellow petal. 3 words, loopy handwriting. Stop. Living. Later. Mara puts a hand on the cool rim of the sink and feels the building breathe through the pipes, a slow exhale. She looks behind the shower curtain. She checks the cupboard under the sink. She checks the bottom shelf of the linen closet where no one fits, not even Dread. Alone. But not alone, because the minute hand, the tiny painted thing, has tilted its nose toward her. She swallows. Is this a prank? When no answer arrives and she waits for it, poor thing, waits a full and guilty 5 seconds, she plucks the post-it off and sticks it to her fridge, where other hopeful papers rest. Grocery lists, lists of lists, a recipe for a cake she will never bake. The travel alarm stays. She tells herself she'll throw it out later. The city outside the window hisses its wet tire lullaby. It's the kind of rain that doesn't commit, mist on the throat of a street lamp, whisper against the glass. She makes tea. Chamomile, which tastes like someone described flowers to hot water. She doesn't drink it. She waits for it to cool. That, after all, is etiquette. The kettle keeps a faint, exasperated hiss. Her kettle has no patience for human rituals. Above the kettle, a cupboard creaks. She looks up. It creaks again. The sound of a mouth opening to say something and then deciding no later. She laughs at herself because laughing makes cowards brave. Relax. That's when her phone rings. The number is familiar in the way a half-remembered dream is familiar. She answers on the second ring, which is later than she means to. Hello. Mara, says a voice. Her voice. Dry and frantic. Do not wait for me. What? Who is this? Do not wait for me. The voice insists, and now she can hear wet breaths over the line, like somebody who has run down too many stairs. If you wait, it learns your name. If you move, it forgets you. Excuse me. Go now. The line dies with a hiss. Her kettle imitates it, a long SSS, like 2 angry snakes discussing punctuality. Mara stares at the dark window, sees only the ghost of herself. Behind the ghost, a hallway in the reflection. But her hallway is not that long. In the glass, there is a corridor that keeps going. You're tired, she tells herself. You're making meaning from static. Behind her, the travel alarm resumes its tick-tick in a measured, greedy way. 11:58. You don't belong to me, she tells the alarm, and her own voice, kind, gentle, professional, makes her brave enough to learn. She lifts it, opens the battery hatch. Empty. No battery. No spring wound key. Nothing. The second hand keeps moving. Tick, tick, tick. Her throat closes on a cold and youthful fear. There are no batteries in the alarm. There never were. She drops it. It doesn't bounce. It lands like a small animal that has accepted gravity, face angled toward her feet. The minute hand ticks half a notch forward. 11:59. Something upstairs stops drumming. Silence spreads like a stain. "Leave," says her voice in her memory. No, not memory. 3 minutes ago. "Go now." Mara takes her keys. She takes her coat. She does not take a bag because a bag is an argument for someday. She does not take her tea because tea is a ceremony of waiting. She opens the door. The hallway light refuses to wake up. This time, she doesn't plead. She bolts. The building's stairwell turns like a spine. Mara jumps steps 2 at a time, every footfall making the metal rail sing, dum, dum, like a taut string plucked by a bored god. On the second landing, a woman stands against the wall, bare feet chalk-white, her nightgown a stripe of moon. She smiles too quickly, like a reflex. Her eyes do not blink. "Going out?" the woman asks brightly. "Yes," Mara says, hurrying by. Meaning, now, immediately, while the world is soft enough to be rearranged. "Good." The woman sing-songs and, after a beat too long, blinks. "Don't keep it waiting." Mara falters, then runs again, because the word keeps tangling her breath. "It." The echo follows her down the stairwell, the way a polite but insistent clerk might. Don't keep it waiting. The street is glossy, with unsupervised reflections. People live in their phones and cast their shadows anyway. A bus sighs at the curb, pretending to be a whale. Mara walks without looking both ways and feels like a felon. The city approves. She can tell because the crosswalk light flashes a white person-shaped permission right away. Usually it makes her cool her heels through an entire rosary of seconds. She keeps her pace. A man with a violin case stands under an awning watching the rain bead and dissolve. He tips an invisible hat. She chooses not to see him. To see is to pause. To pause is. At the corner, the old clock tower, abandoned since fires you're not supposed to ask about, flashes a pale, wrong light in its cracked glass. It is set to 11:59. Its hands do not move. Mara heads for the subway. Inside the station, the air is always the same temperature, the same flavor of metallic throat. A thrumming announces the arrival of something large and impatient. On the platform, 3 teenagers wear the same ironic expression, different faces. A woman carries a potted fern like a child she regrets. Mara stands at the yellow line. The rails below hum like a hive coaxing a queen. She doesn't look down. She looks at the tunnel's mouth, black, blacker, and wonders how many distances live inside it. Next to her, a man in a suit says, "Terrible night to be waiting." She doesn't look at him. "Waiting," he repeats, tasting it. His tie is the color of a stain that won't come out. That's when it notices. The thrumming grows. Light swells in the tunnel like an idea crowding a room. The fern woman exhales a horrified laugh. The teenagers take a synchronized step back. The train arrives. Screech, rush, a breath pulled hard through iron teeth. The doors slide open with a sound like a tongue leaving glue. "After you," the suited man says, gallant. And Mara, she doesn't move. She cannot explain it. A lifetime of letting others exit first, enter last. Of waiting for her moment until the moments dried out and flaked away, paper dust in her palm. Her foot does not cross that silver lip. She smiles at the suit, apologetic in the old way, and gestures. "After you." He shrugs, steps in, and in the half-second he's crossing the threshold, the overhead lights die. Not dim. Die. Dark. No power, no hum, no train, no breath. Silence like wet felt. A single sound remains. Tick. 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 It comes from the far end of the platform, where a small standing clock, advertising a brand that went bankrupt 20 years ago, carries on with indecent dignity. It says 12 o'clock. Midnight. Someone giggles. The sound shards into the dark, high and uncomfortable. The suit's voice arrives from a place that seems farther than it should be. That's inconvenient. Mara's pulse kicks. She moves. The instinct is not intelligent. It is animal. The doors are still open. She can see the rectangular of black that is train interior. She steps up. Her foot strikes not floor but cold, shallow water. It wraps her ankle like a question asked too softly. She jerks back. Breath in. The water withdraws. Not physically, she cannot see it, but in meaning, the way a smell can withdraw when you assert you don't recognize it. Tick. Behind them, on the platform, something begins to arrive. It arrives the way early winter arrives. Not a thing, a thinning. It is the sensation of being watched by your own future disappointment. It is the cool hand of a thought that always tells you, not yet. Wait. Later will be better. Later will be safer. Later will be... The fern woman says, oh, and then again. Oh, lower, as if someone has explained gravity to her personally. One of the teenagers takes a video. His screen throws a rectangle of authority over the dark. The rectangle stutters, distorts, fills with static that looks suspiciously like the grain of old photographs, grandparents in kitchens, suitcases near doors, half-buttoned coats. The app tries to find a face. The app cannot find a face. The app insists on finding a face anyway and draws its yellow square over the place where the thinning thickens. Mara feels a tug in her chest, physical, like a fish that swallowed a hook too obediently. That part of her that loves to wait, that feels ethical in lines, polite at doors, it perks up like a dog hearing its name. The suited man whispers, very close now, don't. I'm not, she starts, but her feet argue. They are already tilting toward the platform's end, toward the clock that believes it is midnight and intends to enforce it. Don't, he says again, and this time it resolves into kindness, or maybe terror shaped like kindness. His hand touches her arm, light, quick. The contact is a match struck in a cave. She jolts. She steps into the train. The floor is dry. Her ankle is dry. The water was an idea. The doors close with a decision. The lights come back like a slap. The train is empty except for them. The suited man exhales and laughs, low and chastised. We almost kept it waiting. Mara's mouth is a chalkboard. What is it? She asks. What happens if? He looks at her surprised. He has no face and every face she has ever apologized to. He is 30 and 70, clean-shaved and bearded, a crowd of men who always make you go first. His tie refuses to settle on a color. It keeps you, he says softly. Not like a prisoner. Like a story you never tell, because you're sure there's a better version coming any minute. The train lurches into motion so gently she doesn't feel the acceleration, only the fact of movement pressing her against the present. The tunnels slip by, graffiti blinking like saints in and out of light. She swallows. Where does this train go in it? She doesn't know how to finish that. Stops? The suited man cocks his head, listening as if he's receiving instructions through a whispering vent. We'll see. Mara grabs a pole. Her palm slides on cold steel. The windows show her face again, dim and local, and the tunnel flashing a Morse code in the reflected black. She reads nothing in it and everything. The intercom chirps and coughs. A voice the texture of old receipts says, next stop, later. A beat. Followed by eventually, postponed, and never. The suited man doesn't smile. Mara does the unacceptable thing. She presses the red emergency button. Not out of panic. Out of something like hunger. The train shudders as if offended. The intercom clears its throat and tries again. Next stop. Now. It sounds put upon. The suited man nods, approving. That's better. Is this she gropes for metaphors. A test? A weird dream? If you wait to understand, you'll give it a seat, he says, and the way he says seat makes her picture buckles, straps, patient leathers. You have a choice every second. It hates that. The lights flicker. She feels something press against the outside of the moving train, a gentle bump like a palm patting a coffin lid. The windows go white for a breath, and in the white she thinks she sees a hospital bed, a window with a view of a tree that never, ever buds, a vase of what-ifs. She blinks, and it's tunnel again. Tick. Where is that sound coming from? Not the clock on the platform. Not the travel alarm in her bathroom. This tick lives inside the car, like mildew. The suited man's head jerks toward the ceiling. It's on the roof, he says. How can it be everywhere? Because you keep giving it rooms, he says gently. Mara looks down at her hands. One is clenched so hard her ring has engraved a small crescent on her palm. The other is open, fingers lax, the posture of someone prepared to receive instructions. She curls that hand into a fist. It feels like deciding. The train slows. Doors open to an empty platform, painted a sort of municipal beige. A sign says, in cheerful font, "Now." Someone has graffitied over it, clumsy black. If you're reading this, you're late. Before she can think too hard, Mara steps out. Her shoes make the sound of commitment on tile. Tack, tack. The air here smells like oranges and printer ink. Another platform across the tracks waits with its own sign. Not yet. A man stands over there with an aura of polite smoke, hands folded like he knows the right answer, and knows you'll get there eventually if you just give it a moment. The suited man stays on the train. The doors hiss. He lifts a hand in a small wave, and for the first time his face settles into a single version, tired and kind, and a little hungry. You'll be fine if you don't. The doors shut. The rest of the sentence gets smeared against the moving train like lipstick on a mirror. The car glides away. The platform is empty. The tick comes back, closer, intimate. On the far wall, a vending machine hums a lullaby. It is full of things you can't buy. Time cards, blank calendars, invitations with the RSVP peeled off, train tickets punched but unused. At the bottom, behind a plastic claw, sits a single item in the spotlight. A brass key hanging on a string with a label. For people who go. Mara digs in her pockets before she can talk herself out of it. She finds 2 coins, one old subway token, a mistake kept for luck, 3 bobby pins, and a little slip of paper that wasn't in there before. She unfolds it with reluctant fingers. Do not wait for me. Her voice again, written, a tidy loop of letters. I'm already late. A breath leaves her like a luggage claim ticket torn in half. She pushes the coins into the vending machine. They vanish like applause swallowed by curtains. She presses the rectangle under the key. The machine grinds, thinks, hums, chooses to make her wait. Just a second, just a second, just. She slams her palm on the glass. No. The dropping mechanism jerks, startled. The key falls with a chime like a thought snapping into place. Somewhere above, something scrapes its teeth on the roof of the world. Mara turns the key in her hand. Brass, warm as though someone else has held it a long time. The label flutters. There is no lock in sight. She looks left. A hallway leads to stairs, and beyond the stairs a turnstile. The way out. The air at that end smells like rain and dinner, and strangers telling jokes they'll forget by morning. She looks right. A service door marked maintenance. Its lock is old, sulky. It has been waiting for something that refuses to be named. Tick, tick. The maintenance door makes the sound of a throat politely clearing, as if to say, I don't want to trouble you, but if you have a moment. She almost smiles. Almost. No more moments, she says aloud. The word more rings in the tiled space like a bell and returns to her smaller, humbler. The tick creeps nearer, delighted. Mara shoves the key into the maintenance lock. It fits with the obscene intimacy of a word you should know. She turns. The door opens onto a stairwell cramped as a whispered secret. The steps angle down steeper than anything that is allowed by building code. The walls crowd her shoulders. The air is cooler, made from basement logic and mold memories. She descends. The door shuts itself. Her breath gets louder. The tick follows, patient, polite, the cadence of a foot that refuses to overtake her, preferring to hang just behind her left shoulder where you can't quite look. At the bottom, a corridor stretches too far. Pipes run along the ceiling like ribs, sweating. Doors punctuate the right-hand wall at regular intervals. Each one bears a brass plate. The plates read, tomorrow, soon, after, later. At the far end, barely visible, one last door. No plate. A different brass. Dull, honest, heavy. She feels, in the bones of her ankles, that this is the only true door. The rest are waiting rooms grown ambitious. From behind the plates, voices murmur. Snatches of things. When we have more money. She'll text back, you'll see. After the wedding. Once the semester ends. When they leave. Laughter threads through, familiar and exhausted. Someone sobs with the energy of a dying alarm clock. Someone else says, shoo, not yet. Mara walks. She does not stop at tomorrow, even when it whispers her childhood nickname. She does not pause at soon, even when it promises the kind of love that would look excellent in photographs. At after, a smell like her mother's closet curls toward her, cedar, powder, the ironed certainty of church. Her throat tightens, traitor. She keeps going. The tick quickens. Fine. Let it run. Let it try. The last door is taller than it should be. The brass handle is ugly, utilitarian. She likes it immediately. She puts the key in. Before she turns it, the corridor lights pop, 1, 2, 3, like flashbulbs at an underattended premiere. With each pop, the other doors change their whispering. A cadence emerges. Not words. An invitation shaped like patience. What happens if I open you? She asks the last door. Her voice sounds very small, but at least it is moving. The corridor draws a breath. Behind her, later opens itself with a courtly little creak. A hand, polite, manicured, not human, extends into the hall with something cupped in its palm. A tooth. Hers. The canine she chipped at 9 on a swing set when she decided it was safer to jump later. The tooth gleams, remade in pearl. Perfect now. The knot hand offers, benign. You can have what you lost, says the air through a smile of strangers. Just stand here a minute. Just one. Just. Mara laughs. It rips out of her like a bandage. You had decades, she says. And you filled them with chairs. She turns the key. The door opens on a stair that goes up past the ceiling's patience, up into a space that smells like rain that means it, like bread that will be eaten while it's still warm, like a voice saying I love you without checking the mirror first. Mara steps onto the first stair. The tick falters. A rush of air tumbles down from above, like applause. The corridor behind her makes a sound she has never heard before, a sound like a muffled tantrum. The other doors slam in a cascading etiquette of fury. At her back, the later door lingers. It whispers, we can still. She doesn't let it finish. Up. The stairs narrow, then widen, then become a ramp, then a green hill under the bright throb of an exit sign that has never been so sincere. The light is harsh and beautiful. It forgives nothing, and yet everything looks improved inside it. Her legs burn with the idea of being used. Halfway up, something slams against the door below. Wood cracks. Brass squeals. The thing that loves her hesitation has finally dropped its manners. It has come roaring into the staircase like a gale choking on dust. It scrapes its nails on the rail. It pleads with 100 borrowed voices. Wait. Just a second. Be careful. You don't know. Think it through. Later. Mara doesn't look back. She reaches the top. There is another door. There is always another door. That used to crush her. Tonight it consoles her like a heartbeat. This door has no keyhole, no handle, only a push plate. Big. Brass. Honest. She pushes. The door swings into a night that smells like wet iron and figs. The city is spread below, its 1,000 windows blinking like yes. The rooftop hums with machines. She hears, far away, a dog scolding an ambulance. Rain pinpricks her face. Someone has chalked words at the parapet, small and fierce, in handwriting she now recognizes as her own. Stop. Living. Later. Behind her, the stairwell inhales, long and pained. The door tries to shut on her ankle. She steps through and throws her weight. The hinge howls. The thing below surges, howling etiquette, shoving with every sorry in the world. Don't you dare, Mara says, and slams the door so hard the building says oof. Silence spills. Then knock. 4 gentle knocks, perfectly spaced.
Tick, 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 tick.
She snorts rain out of her nose like a bull who has decided to learn ballet. Find another house, she tells it. A light turns on in the building across the alley. A girl steps into the frame of a kitchen window and takes a bite of an apple, juice at her wrist. She wipes her chin with the back of her hand, then raises her eyebrows at nothing in particular, an expression that belongs on someone who has just decided to go after what she wants. She looks so alive Mara's ribs ache like weather. Another phone call comes. She freezes, then laughs at herself, then answers. Hello. Her own voice again. But now it's steady, amused. Older by a day, maybe a decade. Good.
You didn't wait.
Mara presses the phone to her cheek. The rain makes tiny tap dances on the screen. Where are you?
Walking, says the voice.
I took the stairs and didn't stop. It hates stairs. What is it? Her voice on the other end considers then. Something we fed and decorated. Something we apologize to. Something that throws parties we never enjoy. Mara looks over the edge at the streaming street. Cars sigh past like mechanical cows. Someone runs for a bus and makes it and cheers alone. A neon sign blinks open and means it. It'll come again, the voice warns. It always does. Good, Mara says, surprising herself with the shape of the word. I'll be busy. On cue, the rooftop door handle, that didn't exist before, shivers. A new convenience. The thing is learning from her. It will make it easy to hesitate next time. Mara steps away from the door. She steps toward the low wall that's a little too low for safety. She puts one foot on it. The city's breath hits her face, hot then cool then hot again, like something huge thinking hard. Her heart changes meter. Be-a-dum, now. Far below, a siren decides not to be late. Tell me something I'll forget, her future self says in her ear, mischief textured with warning. Okay, Mara whispers, closing her eyes. Living isn't the opposite of dying, the voice says, gentle as a throb. It's the opposite of waiting. The line clicks dead. Not rude. Final. Mara opens her eyes. The rooftop door creaks. The polite knocks turn to a soft scraping, like a broom tidying up the aftermath of a party no one admitted to hosting. The rain brightens. A set of roof pigeons line up like judgmental aunties. Watch closely, she tells the sky. I only do this once. She turns from the wall. She runs. Not away from the door, but toward the metal fire escape ladder that doesn't reach the roof, not quite. The sort of problem you solve by jumping. A problem she has avoided since 9 years old, when her tooth learned about gravity. Her body hums with the exact pitch of "we're doing this." She sprints, rain punching tiny encouragements into her face, breath ragged in that delicious way like tearing wrapping paper. Her shoes hammer out a countdown on the gravel, 3, 2, 1. She leaps. For a half second the city is a held breath, and she is its punctuation. Her fingers catch cold metal, and the metal bites. It's not cruel, just honest. Her arms yell at her. She yells back. Ankles scrape brick. The fire escape rattles like applause or warning or both. Below, something in the stairwell roars a quiet roar, choked by manners. It will write a very stern letter about this. Mara hauls herself onto the ladder, chest burning, mouth a grin that hurts. The rooftop door opens just a sliver. A soft, disappointed sigh escapes. Later, she says to it, and then laughs at her own joke because she's finally allowed to speak that word and mean its opposite. She starts down the ladder into the hot, damp dark of the alley, into the middle of the story she was too polite to start. And the minute that once stared back, it blinks. Lean in, brave listener, closer than last time. The night hasn't finished its sentence, and you know how sentences get when you interrupt them. They sprout claws. Mara drops from the fire escape into the alley's hot breath. The rain has arranged itself into obedient strings, falling straight as if measured by a ruler. Somewhere above, the rooftop door knocks once, politely, like a debt collector with table manners, and then goes quiet, offended. She doesn't look back. She runs under a sagging laundry line that tries half-heartedly to become a noose, Past a trash can that hums hold music in the key of stale coffee, around a puddle that reflects only yesterday. The alley widens its mouth, and then remembers it's not supposed to help. At the far end of the brick throat, a dog waits. It is the color of midnight mixed with dishwater. One eye is bottle green, the other an old coin. When Mara stops, it does not wag. It doesn't blink. It becomes statue, a cautionary monument to hesitation. When she takes a step, the dog de-statues, shakes water from a coat that holds no water, and trots, satisfied. Okay, Mara breathes. We're doing verbs tonight. The alley spits her into a cul-de-sac somebody painted with crosswalks that go nowhere. White stripes lead visitors into the wet side of a brick wall and stop there, as if humiliated by their own optimism. Above the wall, a billboard says coming soon and shows only static. In the static, shapes reach out and never quite grab. A payphone rings. Now, that's a relic with nerve. It stands alone in a box as clean as a confession. The handset dangles like an invitation to the kind of party you're not sure you want to attend, which is to say, all of them. The dog sits by the payphone and radiates expectation. When Mara hesitates, just a beat, the dog stonifies again, eyes turning to coins and windows. Fine, she mutters and lifts the receiver. On the other end, her voice, fogged with distance and rain. But the words arrive in clipped parcels, sliced by static. Q's teeth avoid the hold moo I see. Say it again? Cut the line. The words are as sharp as glass. Her own laughs comes through then, older and wicked. Literally, darling. The line dies like a moth in a lampshade. Literally, Mara repeats, tasting the blade of it. The dog approves with a chuff and starts trotting, glancing back to make sure she exists. They turn a corner, and the city rearranges. A market blooms where a parking lot once sulked. Strings of light bulbs tilt their imperfect halos over tents. The sign over the largest awning reads, the pending fair in letters that seem to wait for someone taller to nudge them into place. Every booth sells a future wrapped in polite plastic. Pre-resolutions. Half accomplished. You'll finish them this time, we promise. Reserved seats for your best life. Claim next week. Limited edition apologies. Pre-written. Heartfelt. Ready to send if. If. If is the spice of non-events. People throng, but not like at normal markets. They stand in lines, each long enough to braid with the next. The lines move just enough to keep hope alive. At the center, a carousel spins at a contemptuous crawl, horses glancing back over their shoulders as if to say, "Are you coming?" The sign above it brags, "Standby carousel, rides as soon as possible." The dog growls. Mara steps into the current of the fair. Smells waft, sugar pretending to be strawberries, popcorn that's learned to taste like nostalgia. She sees the suited man from the subway across the way at a booth labeled "Pardon the delay." He stamps papers with a speed that is almost a threat. His tie refuses again to settle on a color. He looks up at her through the eddies of people. For just a sliver of a second, his face stabilizes, surprised, relieved, worried. He mouths a word that could be now, could be no, could be both at once. A barker appears at Mara's elbow, a cheerful shade in a blazer made of waiting room carpet. "You look like a woman with excellent patience," he says, glossy smile unapologetic. He gestures to a velvet rope leading to a tent whose entrance is all flap and promise. VIP line. "We'll be right with you." Mara almost snorts. It is almost a good trick. But almost is a uniform. She declined the dress code on the rooftop. "Hard pass," she says, and sidesteps the rope. The barker's smile ages 10 years. "Miss, you can't, you need, it's only..." "Later," Mara says and means never. The dog's coin eye glints. Good girl. From the far end of the fair, a bus noses through the tents without bothering about physics. Deep matte black, windows showing nothing but their own windows. It's Mark Scroll's destinations. Eventually, then soon, then just a SEC, and, finally, in a coy wink, home. Its doors hiss open with the sound of settling for less. Inside, the bus looks warm and upholstered. Safe. The seats were their seatbelts like low expectations. Mara, says the bus in her mother's voice. Get in before you catch cold. She takes a step closer and, because she refuses to lie to herself anymore, admits it. She wants to. Safety is narcotic. Safety smells like laundry folded by someone who loves you. The dog bares its teeth at the bus, a perfect, silent snarl. Mara looks past the bus at the tent marked Lost and Found. A teenager emerges, clutching a clear plastic bag full of time they will not spend. Tears make clean roads down their cheeks. Behind them, the clerk, a woman with fingernails shaped like traffic cones, calls, "Next. Next." And nobody in the line wants to be next. Not really. The bus purrs.
We'll make this easy,
She says, out loud and to the dog. Nothing good was ever easy to wait for. And to the bus, I walk. The door shut not with anger, not even with disappointment. With patience. That's worse. The patience of something that will be exactly here when you finally exhaust yourself enough to crawl back. The dog leads her to the edge of the fair, where a little shop stitches itself onto the wall while she watches. One moment, blank, wet brick. Next, stained glass with no picture, just the texture of rain. A hand-lettered sign in the window reads, "NO clocks." No problem. The bell jangles as she enters. The air smells of tin and lemon cleaner. Inside, time has been gently disassembled and placed on shelves. Hourglasses with sand replaced by glitter. Tape measures that only unspool forward. A jar of seconds like peppermint candies, labeled for emergencies only. Behind the counter, an older woman with haircut scissors tucked into her cardigan peers up. Her earrings are traffic lights set eternally to green. There you are, she says, as if this has been prearranged and Mara's only come in one model. You're late and right on time.
I'm learning, Mara says.
The woman grins like she's about to snip a ribbon. Good pupils get tools. Payment up front. I don't have. Money is a very patient language, the woman says, dismissing it with a flick. I accept interruptions.
3 of them.
Rude ones. You'll know when to spend them. She slides a pair of silver shears across the counter. Their blades drink the light. When it tangles you, the woman says, cut. Most of its power is thread. Mara takes the shears. They're heavier than they look and warm, as if they've already done some work today. What do I have to cut? The woman taps the bell with a knuckle. It does not ring so much as decide.
Lines. Nets.
Promises tied like bows. What's the catch? The catch, the woman says, and her traffic lights glitter, is that you must pay now. Interrupt something you would rather tiptoe around. Mara looks down at her own hands. They look busy for once. She chooses, without waiting. She reaches for the shop's bell and smacks it again. It clangs in a register that terrifies manners. Outside, someone drops a to-go coffee. A baby sighs awake. The market's hum stutters.
The end.